What up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got through watching one of the best pound for pound. In fact, I think he topped it with this Terrence Bud Crawford taking out Jules in Dongo in the fourth round with a body shot. The guy has so many different weapons, so much skill, so much talent. He's the total package. Vasily Lomachenko, he is a good fighter, a great fighter. I'm pretty sure what happens with that, they can switch and change places in the pound for pound. It really depends on who's the best, is really who won lately, because that's what it's looking like. When Vasily Lomachenko fights, he's on top. When Terrence Crawford fights, he's back on top. So they'll switch out. They're both each other's favorite fighters, both humble fighters. But Terrence Crawford he is the undisputed junior welterweight champion of the world. He has all the belts: the IBO, the IBF, the WBC, the WBA. He has them all. So he is the man at 140. There is really nothing else that he has to prove at 140, but again, he doesn't control his own career, and he blatantly states that each time he does an interview. He always, hey, I'm just a fighter, and he's a very talented fighter, and I don't see anybody beating him at welterweight, honestly. I would like to see him fight some pretty good gatekeepers. Not a Chris Algieri, nobody like that. But let's see, who could he fight at 147 that would be credible? Sean Porter. I would like to see that fight. Danny Garcia, right? He's not a champion anymore. But he's still on the top. Amir Khan, that would be a good fight. That's if Amir Khan would fight Terrence Bud Crawford. But I have Bud Crawford beating all those guys. I haven't beaten Keith Thurman. I don't think Keith has been in there with someone like that. You know what I'm saying? Ever. You know what I'm saying? Look who, the guys Keith Thurman has fought, he's always been quicker than, faster, more speed. He's an awkward guy. His awkwardness might, I don't think that Terrence Crawford would just run through him, but I know he would beat him, just like Floyd did moving up the ranks. And it's time for him to take that next step forward and go to 147 and dominate that division. I think he tops off at 154. You know what I mean? If Errol Spence is still there, Errol Spence can get it too. I think he'll beat Errol Spence. Errol Spence, what I learned with him and the Kell Brook fight, he's not good with sharpshooters. You know what I mean? What he does, he still gets tagged and he still gets caught from time to time. And he still got tagged and caught from Kell Brook. So if a guy like Terrence Bud Crawford comes up there and is able to sharpshoot just like he is known to do, I don't see Errol Spence doing that. I see him beating Errol Spence too. Errol Spence, I think, is a little bit too big. So by the time Terrence Crawford, luckily for Errol Spence will ascend to 154. I see him fighting guys like Canelo at 160 because he's just a bigger, younger guy. You know what I'm saying? So luckily for him, again, I still want to say that because if he ever goes against Terrence Crawford will beat him. He just has too much skill, and Errol Spence is a phenomenal fighter. Don't get me wrong; he's a phenomenal pressure fighter. But sometimes he likes to commit to the body, leaving himself open, and you can't do that with Terrence Crawford. And Jules Ndongo was another undefeated fighter with 2 of the belts. Was an undefeated fighter. So, I got to call it how I see it, man. Terrence Crawford, number 1 pound for pound. There's no doubt about it. But I don't see anybody beating him from 140 to 147. 154, that's another story. But, I could see him ending his career and challenging himself at 154. Just to know that he can compete with the skills that he has. The only thing about him, he just can't mess around and get old, because that's the only thing that can stop Terrence Crawford now Besides, occasional run in with the law in Nebraska, but it's time. Time will beat everybody. So he has to do that at a certain point of time, and the time to do it is now. You know what I mean? Go to 147. Do what you need to do at 147. While you're still fresh, go to 154 and end it at 154. Make your money and call it a day. I love to see undefeated fighters, but I like Terrence Crawford because he's taken on everyone. And I still think that's the reason why Danny Garcia left 140 pounds, because he wanted to avoid that fight with Terrence Crawford, no doubt about it. I don't care about the Al Heyman and Bob Arum fiasco. It doesn't really matter. I think eventually Danny Garcia knew that he would have to fight Terrence Crawford, and that's why he left. You know what I mean? But karma's a bitch. Defeat is inevitable. And he was still beaten by Keith Thurman. And Keith Thurman, I don't see him beating Terrence Crawford. I see it being a pretty good fight, a good competitive fight, but Terrence Crawford will just eventually figure him out, and will learn how to move with his awkwardness, because Keith Thurman does have an awkward style. He has a side-to-side style, and he can punch off, those bounces. So I would love to see it, that, Earl Spence, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Danny Garcia. Yeah, I see him beating all those guys, and 140 is a step down. Sure, it's another weight class, but, I would love to see him, and I think Terrence Crawford is up for the challenge. Postol, Gamboa, Naondongo, Delorme, all these guys he's taken out, and he's not taking no for an answer. So I can't wait to see it. So anyway, this is my take on it, man. You guys tell me what you think. If you saw it, it was on ESPN and ESPN Deportes, and free TV for everybody, baby. It's coming back. It's coming back around. So leave your comments, concerns, whatever. Leave them below, and you guys been counterpunched. Peace.